everybody. Merry Christmas and welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are here I think this is our last recap of the Thanksgiving movies. I'm not sure. I've lost track at this point, but I'm very excited to talk about a Grand Ole Opry Christmas and an Alpine Holiday today on this recap. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and I have with me my good friend Jacqueline Collier's here.
Hello, so excited to talk about these two movies.
Yay. And Natalie Gilbert is with us. We wanted to have an actual musician here with
Thank
us.
you.
Yes.
And it's so good to join you again, and especially for this set of films. I'm excited to join you for this.
It's going to be great. And people might not know you that well that aren't up on the social media and some other things and not a patron, because you were so kind to be our patron guest recently. So Natalie, why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure. As you say, I'm a musician. I'm a voting Grammy member, a Recording Academy member. I have released a bunch of albums. I think at last count it was like 17. I could be wrong about that. And however
if it's anywhere near that, it is incredibly impressive.
Well, some portion of those were recorded in my bedroom in Hollywood years ago, but thankfully
still
the
impressive.
new one. But and so like it was really interesting to kind of get this assignment because as a musician, it is sometimes really hard to watch musician storyline because my industry knowledge kind of makes it hard for me to suspend my disbelief. But I'm really glad to say in this case I didn't have to as much as I expected to. I was kind of bracing myself like, oh no. And I don't know if you actually know this, Rachel. I actually hail from some of the areas where they are kind of basically, I didn't live in Nashville, but I went there annually because I was based in Louisville. So it's kind of an area that I'm familiar with as well. I have not been to the Alpines, not yet anyway. I have been to France many times. So there were ways in which it was very nostalgic. And I'm also an actress and songwriter. And I think those are the big things about me.
I have been to Alpine a long time ago. I went to that part of Europe when I was 14. So
oh, wow,
I don't know if it barely counts, but I technically have. Yeah.
It definitely counts. I wasn't even on a plane till I was 16. So
Well, I mean, it felt like forever because my parents had taken my older brother several times, and you believe I let them know that I was not happy about that it took me till I was 14.
Excuse me.
Yeah. And then I went to Italy when I was 17. And so that was super fun. That was actually on I went to Italy and Greece on a unofficial school trip that one of the teachers, Senora Boyle, our Spanish teacher, she would plan these trips. And the reason why I had gotten interested was because originally it was to go to Australia, which has always been a dream of mine, to go to Australia and swim in the Great Barrier Reef. Still never done it. Still would love to do it. But that's why I got signed on, and they didn't get enough people. So they were like, well, let's do the Italy trip. And I was like, sure, why not?
Can't swim in the Great Barrier Reef there, but sure, why not? I like pasta.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll talk about France, a lot of France coming up, and a lot of Nashville, because that's just an interesting combination. But you, Jax, have you been to the Grand Ole Opry? You've been to Nashville.
Yes, I've been to the Grand Ole Opry. I've always been a country music fan since I was a little girl. Like my family, I remember we would like listen to Patsy Cline over and over, like the little tape in the car that we would have. Went to the Grand Ole Opry. They were not like in session, but got to do the tour of the Opry. And then I got to record Walking After Midnight. Like you pay to record. This wasn't like, they asked me to. You pay to record it. And I got my own little recording because I was like, oh, this is so cool. And, I've always loved Patsy Cline. So I think the Grand Ole Opry is such a special place. I love Nashville. I love country music. So this was really exciting for me.
What about you, Natalie? Have you been to the Opry since you were
I have been
close?
in Ryman Auditorium, and I have
Huh?
attended the Dove Awards, and I attended GMA Week in Nashville annually for a
Oh,
few
oh my
years.
gosh, look at
Yeah,
that.
on the
Amazing.
company's dime too, like not even on my own dime. So that was kind of nice. So like there is a lot there that I love, and I think honestly,
Yeah,
and maybe you would agree, Jacqueline. Like I think that area sometimes gets a bad rep.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, I
yeah,
visit my sister back in Kentucky sometimes for Christmas, and I kind of hesitate, especially here in LA. Like when people are saying, "Where are you going?" I'm
Right.
like, "I'm going back east," and they're like, "Oh, New York," and I'm like, "No, KY, not NY." Like,
yeah,
because they think like KFC and like Southern, and like actually Kentucky isn't
yeah,
geographically Southern or even like Civil War
No.
Southern. They were neutral.
yeah,
And like nobody thinks about the Louisville Ballet and the Kentucky Opera. It's such an
yeah.
arts rich area over there. And
Mhm.
Nashville, obviously, as well. And people know about the country music there, but it's got plenty of rock and dance and soul,
Yeah,
all kinds of things. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I feel
Yes.
like the Midwest, and I consider Kentucky, Nashville, Tennessee, all that like part of the Midwest is like it's not like it has all of these amazing, and I'm sure it has many beautiful places, but that area of the world is a little bit more like flat, is a little bit,
Yeah.
country. And so you had to entertain yourself. You had to find ways to entertain yourself. And that's what they did. I mean, I lived in Indiana, and that's what they had to do. That's why they're so crazy about sports in Indiana. Any kind of sport is we're going to gather, we're going to have fun. And when I first moved to Indiana, I didn't understand sort of the group dynamics that were at play there. And I remember people would be like, "Oh, I have my bowling league that night," and I'd be like, "Oh, that's not that big a deal, right?" And no, it was like absolutely that was
Like,
untouchable.
oh,
I learned real quick. They
Rachel.
you do not mess with bowling night in Indiana. Absolutely not. But yeah, they're really fun places to be at and to live, and with the arts and also with the sports. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Savannah Carlyle and her new book, Christmas at Pine Ridge Inn. Cozy up this holiday season with a book readers say is bursting with Christmas magic, small town charm, and heartwarming found family moments. When a baby quilt leads Lila McAllister to Pine Ridge, Colorado in search of the birth mother who placed her up on Christmas Day 34 years ago, she expects to find answers about why she was placed for adoption. Not a cozy inn that feels like home, a stubbornly charming innkeeper, and a holiday season full of surprises, brimming with holiday magic, heartwarming emotion, and a setting as cozy as drinking hot cocoa by the fire, readers say this story will stay with you long after the last chapter. Visit SavannahCarlyle.com to grab your copy and go on a mental vacation today. That's SavannahCarlyle.com, Christmas at Pine Ridge Inn, or you can use the affiliate link below.
I love it's so funny because, Natalie, when you were saying about how people have a certain perception, like the summers that I was in college and then grad school when I was working my summer jobs were in Kentucky and Indiana. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I worked at Lexington Children's Theater. It's like very vibrant and like rich in culture, and the people
Mm-hmm.
are so kind. And you have that sort of like, to me, when I think about those areas like Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, you have like the warmth of people who are in the South, but also a lot of the like open-mindedness, I think, when you think of traditionally people in the East. So like I do think you have all those, and like some of the, Rachel, when you were saying like the Midwest energy, just that like wholesomeness that I just think is delightful. So I love that area too.
Yeah. Well, Grand Ole Opry Christmas, that's our movie that we had here. And this is directed by Claire Niederprom, writers Tracy Ann Dreen and Hilty Bowen. And this stars Nikki DeLoach and Crystal Palaha. And I thought that James Denton was going to have a bigger role. Man, he's just in it for half second. He's really not in it much. But you've got tons and tons of cameos of your country music. Most people I never heard of, to be honest. Brad Paisley. I knew Brad Paisley. Everybody else I really didn't had never heard of, but I'm sure they're amazing. Rob Mays, he had a bigger role than I was expecting. I love him. He's great. So that was fun. The summary, Gentry Wade, who gave up music after her father's death decades ago, must confront her past when Nashville's Grand Ole Opry invites her to honor her late country star dad at their Christmas celebration. I feel like that is a very lame summary of this movie. I don't, IMDb is just not, like, this movie is way more entertaining than that.
I mean, right off the bat, I didn't know going in that it was time travel at first.
Yeah, you
don't get that from the
time travel. How can you not even mention time traveling pews? Like in your summary? I don't know when you got it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and I mean, I'm amazed that everybody wasn't trying to get on that pew. I mean, especially when she disappears right in front of the usher guy.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, well, that's above my pay grade.
Yeah. Well, and he did try to sit down briefly. He was like, maybe I should try this too. And he's like, well, it doesn't do anything for me. I don't know where all these people are disappearing to. It's like the Bermuda Triangle up in here.
Yeah, right? I would be like, wow, this is exciting. But overall, Jax, what did you think of this one?
I mean, I thought this was really a delight and lovely. Was really, these are two Hallmark royalty, Nikki DeLoach and Chris Balaha. The fact that they got to work together, I thought they had incredible chemistry. They have a very easy way with each other. I know they worked there with each other before, like I think like 2 decades ago. So getting to see that, and knowing that they're, in a non-Hallmark, I think they did some other project together. Okay. Nikki had posted about. So like in their youth, they had worked together.
Right.
And knowing that they're friends and that like the Hallmark family is like one big community, it was really cool to see them in these roles. Also knowing, that Nikki lost her dad a few years ago, and that is something that, her relationship with him is very near and dear to her. And she's so good at really tapping into this like truth and beauty and vulnerability. Like she can do it in like 2 seconds. Like she's right there. Also, I loved the cameos. I loved Aaron Cahill's cameo. I thought it was so adorable and fun. James Denton was basically just a cameo, but I loved him. He was great. Brad Paisley, of course. I thought that it was what Natalie was saying about how we didn't know it was time travel. Yeah, didn't know it was time travel. And then I was like, oh, this feels much more interesting even than what I thought, because it feels a little bit It's a Wonderful Life. It feels like a little time traveler's wife. It feels like, okay, this is fun for me. So I really enjoyed it. Overall, I was really taken with the entire premise and the way that it unfolded.
Yeah. What did you think, Natalie, overall?
Overall, I really loved the way that they used time travel. They didn't rely on cliches. They did something new. I don't think I'm spoiling anything to say that they allowed 2 people to time travel, not just one. And I think that was really meaningful too, that she didn't have to experience this alone. She was able to take somebody with her who understood what this meant to her. And I really felt too that they did such a beautiful justice to her as a songwriter. One of the things that really stuck out to me is that so often in films like this, where they talk about like a record, the minute you say there's a record label involved, it's always this dicey, like, oh, good and evil, like somebody wants to be really famous and they're breaking up the band. But they did a really beautiful job of not demonizing that somebody did want the stadium life or that somebody else didn't want that life.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really respectful, because there are artists on both sides of that equation, and it's okay to want the stadium life, but it's also okay to want the introvert songwriter life,
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned that, Natalie, because do you guys know the band The Civil Wars?
Yes.
So love them. Love them. I mean, that breakup was devastating for me in so many ways. And I think I remember that they said it was differences in ambition. And I remember thinking, oh, there's so much to unpack there. Also, who wrote the statement? There's so much there. But like, I think Joy was really wanting to do more traveling and be out there more. And we've seen that. And like John Paul, a little bit less so. But we've seen also what he's been able to do on his own and what she did on her own. And I totally agree with you, Natalie. Like, I wouldn't have clocked that on my own about this movie, but now that you're saying it, it's making me think of the Civil Wars, and it's making me think of like it is okay to want both. And even though Hallmark normally in Hallmark of Days Gone By would have maybe demonized wanting that stadium life, it's like, no, it's okay. There's so many ways to connect and be in community and to love your family and to do all these things, but sometimes you just have to go your own way.
Well, yeah, and that she had allowed her own ambitions to be thwarted and stopped, I think was really nice. And a nice little arc for her to go on as well. You know, that it was okay for her to pursue her dreams. And also, I mean, I'm just a huge sucker for friends to lovers. You know, that whole arc of just like the yearning that he's been wanting to ask her out all this time. It's really nice. It was good. He would have stayed in the past.
I loved it too when they likened it the aunt or the young quirky aunt character likened it to When Harry Met Sally. I think I was because that's like my favorite rom-com of all time. So Sharon Lawrence is in this, and I just love her so much.
Well, Sharon Lawrence, and then you have what's her name playing her young. The young Rita,
so funny.
Eliza Hayes made her.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a fun character. And I can picture some people feeling this movie's a little slow. It is kind of a little bit, the pace is just like a little leisurely, I would say.
But I think that it may feel that way because it's more authentic and they're not over sensationalizing or doing that yin yang where it's like all good or all bad. They're like they're wrestling with those ambitions, like Jacqueline was saying, of deciding like, am I ready for this, or am I ready to step back from this? And I think to examine those things, it's hard to hit a brick wall and do it really quickly, you know. But I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. It doesn't rush.
I'm curious, since both of you have musical talent, certainly more than me, did you think that the big song was good enough payoff? Because most of the time in these Hallmark movies, like the big song is usually lame. How did you feel like her, what is it, the Winter's...
When I'm falling for you like a snow,
falling for you like a snowflake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear that and think, oh, this would be a huge hit?
No, you know what? Actually, one of my notes is that because I actually with that one, I actually like took notes. I was like, here are some thoughts about this. Yeah. One of my comments is that, you know, when you're dealing with a movie that's so heavy on music and so focused on music, it's really easy to go overboard and turn it into a musical where every 3 minutes somebody is bursting into song over a sneeze, you know, and they didn't do that here. They were every time there was music, it made sense. And as many performances as there were pre-recorded, I think there were just as many that were live off the cuff. And I want to give a huge shout out to Nikki, especially, that she sang live in the moment. And I could see, like, you can see it in her neck muscles that she is actually singing live on camera. And these days, there's so much where they pretend they're singing live in a cappella, but it's in studio later. And it's so, you know, auto-tuned that it might as well be AI. And it's so clear that they were live as much as they could be, and they kept it clean. But
you could feel that with Rob as well. I think he was singing live as well.
Yeah, I think so.
And they're the ones that have the like chops. They have the experience of, you know, singing. I mean, the song was fun. I don't know if it really has like huge hit potential, but like,
but it was clever. The puns were there, right? It had the visual. It wasn't flat. It didn't feel like it was something a 14-year-old wrote. And they did acknowledge that she began it when she was in her teens, and then you know, she augmented it with her co-writer. So I think it showed growth over time.
Yeah. What do you think, Jax, of the song?
I am much less musically inclined than Natalie. But I think for me, there was something about, and I think it speaks to what Natalie's saying, the fact that Nikki was singing, and it was like the first time she sang and it was a cappella, you could tell, like you were saying, in her neck muscles that she was singing. Honestly, the acting of it just sold it for me, because it wasn't like this thing that it was like, you know, sometimes they come out and it's so auto-tuned and they're like, this is the best song ever. And she wasn't doing that. She was like, here's this humble offering, is the way she played it. So because of that, for me, it like totally work.
Also, there was never the moment, which sometimes happens with these Hallmark movies, is there was never the moment of, that the actress is secretly trying to get a recording
record deal.
Contract.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Sometimes you feel that. And you never felt that way.
No, she's said it before. She like
never
did it
felt
all
that
before.
way.
So.
Yeah, that actually surprised me because I was like, wow, Nikki can sing. She can carry a tune. And I don't think I have heard her sing.
I mean, she was in a girl band.
Really?
Yeah. She was involved with the whole Lou Perlmutter or whatever, that guy, that whole thing. She was in like the girl equivalent of like In Sync.
I think what's interesting is I think of that. I mean, that's absolutely true. And like she was on Mickey Mouse Club and everything. But I think she has actually found a way to, because you think about who she was on Mickey Mouse Club with, like Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. She was like all of that time. And it's so funny because she's managed to be like, no, here's what I do. Because I totally forgot that until
Innocence was the name of the band. And it was formed by Lou Pearlman at the same time that he was making Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and all of that stuff. And of course he ended up stealing from them because it was all horrible. But yeah, so she actually, she could say she got started singing and then acting.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Yeah. And they've been using Nikki a lot for her emotional performances on Hallmark. We'd still love to see them really give her a good comedic opportunity. There were a little bit more in Home Turf, her fall movie. There was a little more comedy, I think, in that one than this one and some of her other ones. But she can be really funny. And she is definitely, as far as like pure talent, she's one of the tops in the Hallmark stable of actors, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think she's also able to like shine through. Not that she doesn't have range, because she absolutely does, but it's so interesting. She's such an authentic person. And I think that she's able to, not everyone can bring that to the screen. Even if there's people are so authentic and genuine, off screen, you can't always bring that on screen. But I think she's just able to be completely who she is and then filter that through the lens of the character that she's playing. Because I see so much of Nikki in these characters that she plays in a great way.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Rachel.
I was just gonna say one thing that Hallmark has done such a good job with this season compared to other seasons is the careful planning of the movies to make them feel unique and special. For example, with the Bills movie, the fact that they picked the Bills, I was like, that's weird. Why are they picking the Bills?
Right.
Well, they're getting a new stadium next year. So that worked perfect into the movie because they were able to just naturally work in all of this nostalgia and all of this plot and make it feel like a Hallmark movie, even though it's a football movie. And I think that was really smart. Here's the same thing. It doesn't feel like just some by the numbers Hallmark movie because they planned it to coincide with the 100-year anniversary of the Grand Ole Opry. So having all of these cameos and all of this music and all this, it makes it feel special. It makes it feel memorable. The fact that they did that, I think it's really smart.
Absolutely. It brings back a lot of that Biltmore Christmas kind of vibe too. And I accidentally caught, because it just kept playing, some of the behind the scenes stuff of Biltmore Christmas and saw that they said that movie actually came about because Biltmore kind of approached Hallmark and said, we'd like to do a movie with you. And so I don't know if it was a similar thing here where the Opry reached out to Hallmark and they were like, this could work. Or maybe Hallmark was just like, now that we're on this trend and on this train, what other like locations have a meaningful anniversary or a location that really play well for a rom-com, especially one with a time slip where we can go back to meaningful moments in history. And it is kind of funny too. I don't know how both of you felt about this, to like see a period piece where they're in the 90s, because we're so used to a period piece like in the 1800s or like the 60s or 40s, or like these time periods we didn't personally live through. But and I felt like they dealt with the 90s delicately.
But I had some complaints about that because
did you? Okay.
Yes, because it looked like 1995 by way of 1985.
Yes.
Like, I would agree. The fashion and all the stuff, like that did not look like 1995 to me. Maybe Nashville is different. 1995 to me, you're doing like vests and tight jeans and big hair, and like not the, like they were going like the bright colors, they were going the fluorescence, they were going the, you know, just some of the it just seemed like very 1985, not 1995.
The hair too.
The hair.
I think for some of us that grew up in certain areas, like I grew up in Coleridge, Pennsylvania. Our 95 looked a little like 85 because we did. So I was like, yeah, this tracks for me. But I think that's only because the Coal region got everything a lot later than everywhere else did. So I was like, this makes sense.
That crazy silver dress that she's wearing at one point, I was like, what is that?
Yeah, I was obsessed with that. I thought that looked amazing. I was like, I want that now. But also, again, that's me.
I literally wrote down, why are they dressed like the 80s, not the 90s? What happened?
It reminded if you're shopping at a thrift store, maybe, but yeah.
It reminded me of in How I Met Your Mother, when Robin Sparkles does her go to the mall, you know,
let's go
video, and they're like, why does this was the 90s? Why does it look like 1980? Whatever, and he's just like, oh, we didn't get the 80s in Canada till like 1996.
I love how they acknowledge that in there because it's so true.
The same in Nashville. We'd like to take a second to thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the good folks at Aura Frames. And Aura Frames makes digital picture frames that become the ideal gift, especially for that person that is difficult to buy presents for. Aura Frames, you can give something meaningful that's also easy. And a lot of those meaningful gifts can be very time intensive, but this has that personalization, but it doesn't take a lot of time. You can preload images and video onto the frame before it ships. Plus, you can continually update and add new photos throughout the year. So this would be a great way to involve loved ones that are maybe far away, that don't get to be part of your everyday life. You want to share those experiences, those photos. You can, this would be a great gift for somebody like that, because you can continually upload it through the year. You can also personalize the gift, adding a message before it arrives. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code Hallmarkies at checkout. That's Aura Frames, AURA frames.com, promo code Hallmarkies. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell up fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. But it starts out, we get introduced to Rob Mays and his partner that are breaking up, Winters and Wade, and it all kind of happened pretty quickly. We find out the decision to break up, and Wade has a family, particularly his daughter, and then Winters doesn't. So that's why they have different priorities. And she's a bartender, but people still want her to come and do her writing, her songwriting. That's really what she's more well known for, songwriting more than singing. And the 100th anniversary is coming. She's been sent an invitation, and she didn't reply. So she's been divorced for 3 years, which definitely shows some growth for Hallmark, because they used to never have divorce leads. So way to go. Good job.
Yeah, and it's like, you guys, it's like more than half the population gets divorced. Like, let's please work these into these things. Yeah. We don't have to kill everyone doesn't have to be a widow or widower. Now, that is the sad reality of life as well. So yes, you can showcase that, but can we just have some plain old divorces, please?
Well, I mean, especially if you're going to have somebody as beautiful as Nikki, and she's 46 years old. So like, it just doesn't make much sense that she wouldn't be divorced at 46, you know? Like,
well, and they've also done such a better job of second chance love lately.
Yes.
People like falling back in love with their high school sweethearts because they forgot they were too afraid to speak up at the time.
yeah.
And I think that's something really beautiful too, because, you know, whether you're an octogenarian or you're in your 40s, like reconnecting with those people from your youth or from your past is also really beautiful, and kind of there's that redemption piece, you know?
I just like it when they treat their 46-year-old actors like 46-year-old actors, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did. I mean, these characters felt like they had lived life. And that just makes it better than them trying to pretend like that Taylor Cole movie where she was just dealing with her trust and getting her first job. And I'm like, come on.
Right. You're like, this is just not...
Like, nobody gets their trust and at like 45. That doesn't happen. Like, you get it when you go to college. I don't know. Like, it just was so obvious to me that her character was written for a much younger actress.
Yes.
Than what they had.
And to your point, it sometimes does feel like across Hallmark franchising, especially in earlier years, that they are writing like template characters where the character could be played by somebody who's 25 or somebody who's 45, and they're kind of afraid to nail down that age. And maybe that's because they just want to keep it as they've been told to keep it as open-ended for casting as possible. But I think you're right. I think there's something beautiful about them casting more, not mature actors. I hate to use that term because it makes it sound like they're in their 80s or something, but like, you know, people like you say, who are not straight out of college, and we can acknowledge their age, and it's meaningful to see them 30 years later or 30 years earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then we have, this is where we get the cameo from Erin Cahill. She's the Opry tour guide.
It was so cute.
Totally
so
random,
fun.
but it was fun. Enjoyed it.
And she's a Nashville girl herself, so I guess
she is.
Okay. It was LA and Nashville, but she's in Nashville, like I would say a little bit more than LA. So like they're like, throw Erin in there.
Yeah. So they do mention that the Grand Ole Opry is the longest running radio show. That the Grand Ole Opry is the longest running radio show. It's continuously running, so that's cool. Yeah, I know that the music and the spoken word here in Utah is also one of the longest ones. Oh, wow. It's been at the Tabernacle Choir that's been running. So I think those are two of the longest in the country that are things. So that's nice when you get a sense of time and place. And then we meet James Denton, and they seem to have a pretty good relationship. Like, she, you know, sort of a father figure for her, and it's good to see for her to see him. And then she goes and she sits on the pew, and it's magic. Wow, she goes back in time. And they didn't spend much time on like fish out of water, where am I kind of thing. She dials in pretty quick, I think.
Which I'm actually totally okay with. I'm like, just lock in. We know what's happening here, and you want to be there. We want you to be there. This is honestly just sometimes like a lot of too much fish out of water is like, okay, we get it. We know.
That familiarity kind of helps you get into the depth of the story a little faster too. Like she made a beeline for running into her dad, and we knew that was going to be the crux moment.
Yeah. Yes. And then she sees Rita, young Rita, because we got introduced to Sharon Lawrence as Rita earlier, and then she sees her there, and then we have that she sees her dad. She sees them fighting over writing. That Wade wanted to write more of the songs, didn't want to go out on tour, and this is when she's wearing the crazy silver dress. And I was baffled. Why are they dressed like the 80s, not the 90s? And we get this. I forget who said this, if it was which character said this, but it's persistence is just as important as talent.
Oh yeah, I think Palaha says that
Did
to
he say that?
Nikki. Yeah, which I thought really, I mean, arguably even more so. Like it's like you have to, I mean, talent is hugely
Yeah.
important and luck is important, but like really sticking to it. Like when I think about the people that I either did summer stock with when we were kids or went to college or grad school with, the people that are still doing it, sure, they're talented, but it's really the people who we all decided we were just going to stick it out,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I can't remember where I heard this, but the quote of yes, luck is a big part of any kind of success in the arts, but you have to be prepared for when the luck finds you.
Mm, I love that.
And I think that is very true. I mean, we look at even with my life this fall, you know, that I've been able to host on the movie show here, which has been a dream come true and an incredible opportunity. But if I hadn't been, that was a stroke of luck that I was the person that they picked and that I've been able to do it, and it's been incredible. But I had to be prepared for when the luck found me. You know, I had to be ready to go, and not that I can't learn and improve, but I think that there's some truth to that.
And you were also planting seeds with them for a while. You know, that
Yeah.
was something that was talent and persistence and luck. Like it's when all
Hmm.
that comes together.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was good. And then we get to learn a little bit more um, about her dad. She introduces Mac, Pla's character, as her husband, and the dad, he's really struggling, not spending time with his daughter, and so that's very sweet and endearing. And then Max says that he regretted not making a move with the girl on his street that he loved. Oh, which was cute.
And you know, it's somewhere in here where I begin to wonder. In fact, I took the time to watch it a second time just to see if I could spot the actor or the director making the decision. If the father knew at some
Yeah,
point.
I was wondering that too, especially towards the end when she gives him that really long hug.
Yeah, I think by then he did know. And
Yeah.
so I rewatched to kind of be like, okay, when did he figure it out? And I almost
Yeah.
wondered if it was when she introduced Mac, because you got Jen, and that's not quite Gentry when she kind of gives her abbreviated name, but then she introduces Mac, and he also knew Mac. You know, he would have
Yes.
also known the guy who lived down the street. So if I were him, I'd be like, something here is like very familiar.
I love that you were looking at that because I was very curious too. And all these time travel movies always make me go, not in a way where I can't suspend my disbelief, but I think about like I love Doctor Who and like the time travel of it all. And I'm
Same.
like, wait, how is this working? And I do think I think Claire Niederpruem, I've worked with her once before, and also I just love all her movies. And I know how she is on set. Like she's a like young woman who was like so collaborative, a real actor's director, and really goes in depth. Like she's thinking about every change. She's not phoning these in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like she's really doing it. And I'm sure that that was conversation that was handled with a lot of care and attention and focus. And I think that both, you know, Rob Mays, Palaha, and Nikki DeLoach are all like that. So I am sure, like, I love that you were thinking about that, Natalie, because I think you're right. I think he had to know in that moment, which then started freaking me out because I'm like, now does he know that he dies in about 7 years? And is it like just
Yeah,
spit
you'd
out all
almost
these
want
time?
to just give some kind of warning, you know?
Well, that's
But
always the interesting things about these. Yeah.
I mean,
But
that's
if he does, then maybe that is part of why he left the scene and decided to tune into making as much of that time with his family as he could. Like it didn't feel untrue that if he did know that that wouldn't also play into some of the decisions that he made.
yeah.
And
I mean,
as
that's
I
always
Yes.
that's always the tricky thing about time travel, though, because you know she could have been like, "Hey, don't invest in the housing market around too," you know, like
yeah.
like, okay, there's lots of things. Like, I mean, we're joking with the Newport Christmas movie that now he knows all this information. Like he could let people know about Hitler's
Yeah.
coming. You know, he could let people know. He's there. I mean, she doesn't know, but he knows.
I think what I always say in these like time travel movies, and I'm sure it's like an amalgamation of all the ones I've seen. They know they can't do it because they know if they pull a thread, like everything is gonna unravel. And like there was the one, what was that? Where I think it's either Black Mirror or what was it like the sci-fi Mystery Science Theater? It was one of those where
Oh,
they were
yeah.
going back to kill Hitler when Hitler was a baby.
Yeah.
There was this
Twilight
whole
Zone.
reason why.
And
Yes,
that's
yeah.
what I was saying, that that now that he knows he's there in 1905 in Newport Christmas, he could get rid of Stalin, he could get rid of Hitler, he could get rid of
There'll always be a new Stalin.
yeah.
There'll always be a new Hitler. It's like this. It's like that crazy thing though, where you're like the way it does it, is it always going to be that way because it's already happened and we're living in all
And
these, we're ping-ponging back and forth
obviously you
parallel
have to
universes.
suspend your disbelief, but it would be awfully tempting to not want to at least be like, don't take that ride, or whatever it is. I forget what they said that he died from, but
But then it's like in The Way Home on Hallmark Channel, they have it that like she goes to try and prevent her dad and then finds out she was like sort of the reason why the accident happened.
Yeah,
She was
that's
trying to
true.
prevent the accident. And you're like,
That's a good
oh,
point.
was it always gonna happen? Or
Which,
I'm the one that made it happen. Like, because I was already there,
which BTW, so sad that we're only getting one more season.
Only one more season on The Way Home. I know it's a bummer.
On Way Home. I'm so
But at
surprised.
least we get one more. At least they didn't cut it off where they left
that's
it.
true. There would have.
Exactly.
I would have been so upset. But I'm so surprised. I was very surprised by that because they just added it to Netflix. So you figure it's just starting to get that fan base. You think what has happened after with like Heartland, and maybe the response just wasn't that great to Netflix, because like Heartland, When Calls the Heart, a lot of these shows, they put them on Netflix and they get a big bump. And so it really surprised me when they announced that about this would be the last season. Very much. Yeah. So bummer. But anyway, so we do get a pretty early kiss in this. And he says, she says, if you would have asked me, I would have said yes. And then they have a kiss and he says, I was right. You're a really good kisser.
That was in my notes too. I was really glad for a change that Hallmark didn't make us wait until the last 5 seconds for the kiss, especially for one that's been so earned over so many decades,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it also raises the stakes when they're separated, because you're like, oh, they finally had their first kiss and now you're going to pull them apart again. So I can see why they did that to up the ante.
Yeah.
Wise choice on their part.
So this Winters guy, he figures out that she's not an executive. She's been pretending to be a record executive. But he's looking for a good songwriter, and he heard her singing her song about the snow. So he's excited about that. And then they debate, should we go back? He's like, it took me 30 years to get together with you. I'm not leaving you. And then he goes back by accident. But by accident, because of that darn pew. And and then somebody asks her, says that was your daddy a good daddy? He says, was your daddy a good daddy? And she says yes. And he says, I hope my daughter will think of me that way. She says she will. It's very sweet. Very sweet. Yeah.
All the tears were flowing then for me.
Yeah, it's very nice. So then then she goes back, and of course he's very happy that she's back. He's like, I tried to go back. It wouldn't let me. And she sees Winters perform, and he sings her song, and then she goes in the circle, which is like a big deal. I mean, there's even that famous song, will this circle be unbroken by and by?
Yes.
Yeah, that's but so the music is the gift, and then Brad Paisley sings her song, and then he says, Max says, I would have stayed with you. I can't remember when I didn't love you. Sorry it took me so long, she says. So there we go. Very sweet. Very sweet indeed. But I would watch this again. I enjoyed it. I thought that it was anchored by two leads that had nice chemistry. It had a sweet heart to it. It had, family, life. The songs and the music was good enough to be entertaining. And so yeah, I give this like a 4 out of 5 crowns. What about you, Natalie? What would you give it?
I might give it 5 out of 5. And that's
Ooh,
not easily earned with me. Like
yeah.
I have not previously, until Biltmore Christmas, I was not really a Palaha fan. He was always just a little too like polished and like old-timey for me in presentation.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But when paired with Nikki, I feel like she brought out his
It's a good
authenticity, like
match.
you were talking about, Jax. Like
Mm-hmm.
she just, maybe because they knew each other previously, and because she had lost her father, and maybe this was a cathartic thing for her. Like I found it very easy to suspend my disbelief, which isn't always easy with a time travel piece. So yeah, I mean, the writing was on the mark, the directing was on the mark, the cast was perfectly done. I got no notes on changes I would make, honestly.
Enjoyed Biltmore, but I kind of wish they hadn't needed to make it a love story. I kind of wish that they had treated it like a bishop's wife, which he's in a bishop's wife, he's the Cary Grant's the angel, meant to help her, because I don't know, I just think it would have been, I get it, it's a Hallmark movie, but I think just him helping her would have been enough for me. I didn't need them to end up going back and yeah, but that's just me. But Jax, what would you give it?
I just have to say that, Natalie, you just made me laugh so hard because it's so true for me too. When you said Palaha a little bit too like polished and old timey. I think for like 4 movies, and by his own admission, he was like doing his Jimmy Stewart voice.
Mm-hmm.
So he literally did it in one movie and then decided to incorporate into other movies. And yes, so like I remember seeing him in Dater's Handbook years ago with Meghan Markle and being like, oh my gosh, this guy's so hot. And I think we're getting that back now. Like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like seeing him with Nikki, like you guys were saying, their chemistry was great. He got to like, even when he like rolled off the bed that time, he's like, okay, good night, go to bed. Like so cute and funny. For me, this is a 4.5 out of 5. Like I'm
Yeah.
allowed to give half crowns, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
4.5 for
But there's that whole more Ploha thing on Instagram.
No,
More
what?
Ploha. Yeah,
No,
there's like this whole more Ploha thing.
Oh
And
yeah.
I don't really get it.
Yeah.
I don't really understand because he's in a lot of movies. The man is extremely busy. I just wish that they were using this kind of campaign to actually advocate for somebody that like deserves more work.
Right,
It
like
needs
he's
more
doing
work.
fine. The man is booked and blessed.
Yeah, like someone like Andrew Bushell, who's so talented, and it'd be great to have more diversity on Hallmark, and he's funny and charming, and that would be so much better. More Bushell.
Yes.
And
Thor Rivera from Chicken Sisters. He's
Oh my God.
finding his
Oh
ways,
yes.
right?
Somebody like that. Absolutely. There's so many talented people that I would love to see. Why don't we have a more Cardi Wong movement, or I
tried to get that one going years ago.
more Andrew Francis, just somebody that like is very talented but doesn't get as much work as they deserve.
Yeah.
I don't understand the more below thing. I don't get it. But
You're
anyway.
like, he can't give us any more. He can't be in 2 places at once.
He can only be in so many movies, people. I'd like to take a second to thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Uncommon Goods. The countdown is on. Holiday shopping season is officially here. Uncommon Goods takes the stress out of gifting with thousands of unique, high-quality finds you won't see anywhere else. Don't wait. The most meaningful gifts get scooped up fast, and now is the perfect time to cross names off your list. What I really liked when I looked at their website is that you can go to the exact category of the person that you're shopping for. So you can look for gifts for women. And then in particular, they have a whole section for moms, for grandmas, for wives, for teenagers. And within each of those categories, there's all these creative ideas. And I had a lot of fun looking at the teen category. I have some nieces and different things that would be fun to shop for. And I love the creativity in so many of the gifts. You've got create your own reel viewers. You've got a photo and label printer. I definitely think there is something for everybody, and it's worth checking out their site. And it's also nice that when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. Many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches, so shop now before they sell out this holiday season. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3.1 million to date. So don't wait. Cross those names off your list before the rush. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/Hallmarkies. That's uncommongoods.com/Hallmarkies for 15% off. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary. Let's talk about Alpine Holiday. So this movie, directed by Lucy Guest, and it stars Ashley Williams and Lacey J. Millay, and it's Faith and Kelly, estranged sisters, reunite for Christmas in the French Alps, reminiscing their grandfather's first trip. Their grandmother's, really. They cherish sisterhood and romance with their guide, Friedrich. Another bad summary. IMDb is epic fail on the summaries. So there are things I like about this movie. Obviously, beautiful. The French Alps, gorgeous, a lot of beautiful scenery. That's nice. And I like that they were trying to do something with like a little bit more complex characters and focus on these two sisters. I like that in theory, and I admire them for giving it a shot. But I just really didn't like either of these women. I found them extremely insufferable and frustrating, and the romance was completely forgettable. Both of them. I didn't even need it. I didn't, buy it. I didn't like it. And so it was just these two women, these two sisters being kind of horrible to each other, and Ashley's character was like unreasonable, like ridiculous, that she's going out into like in a foreign country, going out into the mountains, like just without anybody there, by herself. Just like, it was absurd. And to act like her sister is unreasonable because she doesn't want to do this insane thing. And just, I don't know. I just really found it like not pleasant. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but I didn't enjoy this one. It was not my favorite. And I am like very conflict averse. So I think that's part of it. Like, even within my own family, I mean, we're fine. My family's fine, but I avoid conflict so much. I'm like, can I be out of the state instead of having that conversation? Like that's more me. So I don't know. I just really didn't like their relationship or the personality of either woman. So I struggled. I don't know. What do you think, Jax?
Okay. Yes. I think for me, what was interesting is I really liked, also, I just like really love Ashley's work, and I think she's so funny and everything. Here's the things I liked overall. Like there was a part it was near the beginning where Lacey's character is trying to guilt trip Ashley's character, and is basically like you left. And I thought that it was going to be one of these Hallmark moments where Ashley like feels really bad, but instead she's just like, "Can you give me a latte?" And like, I thought that was funny. Like Ashley was still like keeping it light and fun. And I actually really liked Ashley's character. This story, this romance, it didn't do anything for me. I found everyone like likable, but I was just not invested in this plot at all, in their relationship as sisters. It just reminded me how much I like Ashley in other things. I was like, oh, I love her in How I Met Your Mother. Oh, I loved her in Sister Swap. Oh, I just loved her in the YE movie. Like, I just think she's so funny that I want her in more stuff. And I think I don't know. I just don't think she can get to shine as much as she.
There's like two kinds of Ashley Williams performances. There's free-spirited, meaning charming, sweet, effervescent, October kiss, that kind of a thing. Loving, kind, all that. Then there is the free-spirited, meaning I'm going to be unreasonable and act like everybody needs to agree with my unreasonableness. So like Love on a Limb, not for me. I really dislike that movie. She's not for me. And and then this one where her behavior was not free spirited, it was unreasonable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like that's not appropriate. That's not thoughtful. That's not cute. It's not endearing. It's I know, reckless, and not it's thoughtless. Instead of being endearing and thoughtful, it's reckless and thoughtless. And so that's where it's like a very fine line for me with Ashley. And of course, I love her as an actress and as human, of course. But I'm just saying that free spirited archetype can really not work for me.
I know what you're saying, because there can be like the free spirited archetype that is like unhinged, which I think she plays really well, and I like it. But I think that for it doesn't always land the same way as a free spirit that is just like going with the flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's like free spirited, and your goal is to make life like better and happy and wonderful for everybody else, and free spirited where it's not to do that.
Tasmanian devil, just like
your goal is to
yes.
So I don't know, that's for me. How did you feel about it, Natalie, about the movie?
I had some real issues with this one. And when I was told, here are these two movies, I thought I would dislike the country one and love the destination one, because I normally love the destination ones, like Norwegian Holiday, one of my all-time Hallmark faves. But in this case, I took immediate issue with the meet cute. I felt like it really lacked consent. He sat at her table without even checking. And, he was just like, you look lonely. I'm going to sit here. And then she's like, are you hitting on me? And he's like, if I am, are you like, I forget the phrasing he used. He was like, is that a problem? And like, he was just so aggressive from the get-go. And even in his lines at the end, I wasn't going to let you, like, it just felt like this guy and consent were not friends. And like, and it really grated on me. I don't know if both of you have sisters.
But I can see that. I cared so little about the romance. It just seemed like so throwaway, and they had no chemistry. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I also felt like, when Lacey's character, told Ashley's character, this guy creeps me out, I don't really feel comfortable. I got to tell you, no sister alive would hear that and go, well, I'm going to force you to spend a week with him anyway. Every sister I know would be on the phone going, I'm so sorry. Could we get a different guide, or could we at least get a chaperone? Because we don't feel comfortable being alone with this guy. Yeah. Every sister I know would respect her sister's vibe, that regardless of her own perception, if her sister was uncomfortable and said, this guy is skeevy to me, she would immediately respect that and be like, that wins. That's more important than my hanging out with this guy I think is hot. And
I mean, I guess you might feel a little guilty if like the host, the guide, had been specifically selected by grandma.
Well, and it sounded like his company had been, and things had been arranged, but it was just like, I couldn't see where they would stick with that and commit to that quite that way.
And I had to laugh at the extent of the busybody matchmaking on the part of this grandma from Beyond the Grave. Hilarious that she had all of those handwritten notes at every stop along the way. Like, what?
Like it's so interesting, because I feel like, Natalie, what you said about the whole sister respecting the vibe. Yeah, I think that I can't imagine a world that any sister would do that, let alone be like, hey, he should stay in our chalet with just the two of us. Like, it would be one thing if I mean, he didn't even ask to do that. So it would be one thing if it was like, grandma set this up, and like, do you feel comfortable if we just have him during the day? No, we wanted to do meals with him, whatever. Now, I'm not even saying that would be okay, because honestly, like, I have a little sister. I would just be like, he's done. He's dead to me. Get out. I don't care. But I think the other thing about that is what makes this movie hard for me is that, how do I say this? Like, how do I articulate it? I don't get the vibe that Lacey's character ever really was skeeved out by him. She just was doing the thing where it's like, I don't like you. And that's why it all feels even weirder, because when you're talking about consent, we need to really, that no does mean no, but we're doing this thing where it's like we're supposed to think that no didn't really mean no for her because she kind of just couldn't really say like it was a mess. That was a
The
mess
other
for
thing
me.
too is that it wasn't really believable that someone like him would be interested in her, to me.
Well, basically, he flat out said, "Oh, you don't look like you're so beautiful. You don't look like the other one." No, I don't want my partner like, I'm glad that that my partner does not find my sister like, he's not like, "Wow, your sister's such a hottie." But I don't want him being like, "Wow, your sister looks nothing like you." And like it being like, "Oh, she's an ogre." That's the vibe I was getting from him. And of course, Ashley's beautiful. So like it just
Yeah.
all seemed weird.
Like the kind of conversation that I really disliked in this movie is like when she says, "I'm not the one who left at 18 to go and save the whales in Nepal." And then Ashley says, "It was Patagonia to save the whales. Nepal doesn't have whales, it has dolphins, and they're doing just fine." Like I don't like any part of that conversation because I don't like the fact that Ashley did leave at 18 and was gone from her sister's life. And I also don't like the fact that she's being annoying and correcting her about about whales and dolphins, and that she's like, to me, that's a real sort of, that's just annoying.
Oh my gosh,
And
I actually the exact opposite with that. I was like, no one owes you their life. When you're 18, you should be able to live for you. And the fact that I thought it was funny that she was like, no, that's not what it is. Because I was like, yeah, don't feel hurt by this manipulative BS that your sister is trying to shovel at you. Like, don't even take it. Don't even take that on, girl. That is not your energy. You let her know, like, no, that's not it. She deflected it because I was like, that
I
is
don't know, like
BS.
they're doing just fine. I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of that's just, I don't know. It just doesn't make me like you as a character. I mean,
Right,
correcting
right.
people and that, "Oh, I'm sorry, we got your wrong philanthropic endeavor. We mislabeled it. I'm sorry."
But do you
And
think
that
that she owes her sister her, like, to say you left at 18? It's like she was 18. She deserves to live the life she wants to live.
well, yes, I mean, I agree, but I also agree that you should try at least to maintain some kind of connection with your siblings, and you should try to, like, I just felt like both characters were annoying in that situation. She was annoying
Yeah.
for saying that, and then she
Yeah.
was annoying for the other was annoying for saying it was Patagonia, save the whales, not like that's irritating to me. And um and so they were both. I really dislike both of their characters, and
You're like, they're both villains, okay?
they're both irritating, and like spending time with them. And I mean, we're supposed to buy that Lacey's character has like high anxiety, and I prefer to stay at a steady level of anxiety when I travel. And for the most part, I'm like, okay, that's you're a lot, but then she starts to make complete sense and then the script really started to lose me, where it's like 99.9% of people would have anxiety about being in those cable cars, and in that,
Totally.
that's the whole point of that glass room or whatever they called it. And it's like she was absolutely right in saying, don't go out into the middle of a blizzard in a foreign country by yourself. And then for Ashley's character to act like you don't care about grandma. Like, what? I'm just like, I
well,
don't like these
right.
men.
That makes sense because also when you're saying anxiety, when you're talking about it, the way they wanted us to think about it was that you're feeling anxious about situations that wouldn't necessarily be dangerous. You have anxiety. Like you're like, I'm on medication for anxiety. It's like, yes, but that doesn't mean that when things happen to me that would make anyone anxious, that's not that my meds aren't working. It's that it's a stressful situation. And yeah, of course, in that instance, Rachel, you're absolutely right. It's like anyone would be like, this isn't safe. Why are we doing this? Not that she's some stick in the mud. So yeah, that was very weird to me.
I also thought it was weird how they spent quite a bit of time about Frederick and his band. and the bandmate and his like dream of singing. I'm like, why did we need this subplot? Like, we absolutely did not need that.
Yeah, they spent all of Act 2 focused on him. Like suddenly it was his story instead of focused on these two estranged sisters for no reason.
Yeah, I was like, is this girl gonna that we spent like her singing a whole song? And I'm like, is she gonna be connected to these people in some way? Or like she knew the grandma or what? No. It was weird. The other thing I thought was odd is that so Ashley is supposed to be the free spirit, as we're told many times. Why was she like practically in a wetsuit in the hot tub? She had like full arm coverage, full, like there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay, but it seemed like not right with her character.
Would there be allowed to show on Hallmark?
Well, they have.
I'm trying to think if I've ever seen. Yeah.
Very few times they've had a two-piece swimsuit. Which I don't need her to have a two-piece swimsuit, but just felt weird. Like, why is she completely covered for this hot tub experience?
I think what would have worked like better would be like a one piece, but then with something tied, but almost like she was having fun with it rather than just like I'm hovering up, It
was like, are you about to go snorkeling? Like, what is going on? I thought that was, I just didn't think that fit her character.
Yeah.
To do that, but whatever. Then we have, let's see here, that we find out that Grandma didn't take as many risks after Grandpa left. So we start to learn more about Grandma's character, which would make sense because not only do you not have your companion, but like it's harder to do stuff alone and more expensive. So, it's not necessarily because she just like lost her nerve or something.
Yeah, and I think Ashley's character pointed out, she's like, well, yeah, she was 70. Like, that's okay to start having different adventures,
Well, yeah, and you have seasons in life. And I think that is kind of what Ashley's character learns by the end of it, so that because she's been proposed to by this guy, Ben, and she's like freaked out. And she, goes on the vacation. We got a couple calls with him and so you didn't answer the question, what are you doing? So she's freaking out about it, and then we get this whole conversation between them. What's the point coming out here if you aren't going to try and enjoy yourself? And then she says, would you like a formal apology for my anxiety? And then I wrote, I don't love this conflict. That's what I wrote. Like this. And then she says, everything is out of your comfort zone. At least I have a comfort zone. You live out of a suitcase and call it free-spirited. And you keep moving around so you don't have to feel anything. It's just like, I hate both these women. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't, and this is an unhealthy quality of me. I would never have a conversation like this with my sisters. Never.
Well, that's just it. At the end of Act 1, I had already gone on IMDb and I was like, this had to be written by a man. Like, no woman would ever write it this way. Not only for all the consent problems, but the sister dialogue and conflicts. Absolutely.
It doesn't have the writer on the. It doesn't have it on the IMDb. The writer.
I looked it up. It's Blaine Chiappetta.
Okay.
It's listed at the front of the movie.
You're so right about that. It is.
That's spot on.
I would never have a conversation like this with my sisters. I have good relationships with my sisters, but I just would never. Like, no way.
No, I think that like, yeah, I think it's so interesting too, because they're trying, like Lacey's character is saying all these things that are like deep and hurtful, and Ashley's character is deflecting all of them in a way that I think I weirdly appreciated, because I was like, don't you dare do that to her. Like, but none of it is making sense. I guess at the end of the day, none of it makes sense.
But I feel like most of Lacey's comfort zone and anxiety were perfectly reasonable. So the fact that she's getting, accused of never going out of your comfort zone, I'm like, yes, because she is a full thinking human being who gets nervous about being in a cable car way up high in the air and not wanting to go out into the snow in the middle of nowhere, So like, I guess I just felt like, yeah, because she's not stupid, and you want her to be like, there's stupid free spirit, and there's quirky fun free spirit, and you know, so
like,
I had a hard time like feeling endeared to Ashley's character when I just kept being like, yeah, well, her choices are making a lot of sense to me.
Well, and also like, where's the love and understanding, respect between these two sisters of just like they're different and differences are okay.
Yeah.
You know? And like, why not even have admiration for like, I love the way that you planted roots and stayed with grandma and like live this life. And oh, I think it's so amazing that you could go out and have all these adventures. And like, how can we grow back together? Like,
the other thing I thought was really funny throughout the whole movie, they were acting like they were doing this on like the major cheaps. Like this is like they go into the chalet and they're like, sorry, this is not a 5-star resort. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Except it looks like it is.
This is freaking Europe. I mean, this is nice.
It's in Europe, and that chalet looks super fancy.
Yeah. And then they were acting like this was like a ski shack that they were in, you know, during the storm. And I'm like, no, this has like, it's nice. Like you have no problem. I thought that was kind of funny.
And I was kind of wondering why they didn't show us more of the environment. Like, I mean, you're not wrong that the shots we did see in the snow and the landscapes were pretty, but like, if we're gonna take the time to luxuriate in France, then let's luxuriate a little bit.
Yeah. Also, I had to laugh that at the beginning that Lacey's character is a photographer, because if you are going to have anybody in a Hallmark movie be a creative person in the creative arts, it's always a photographer. Never, almost like, there's been a couple painters over the years, but almost never. It's always photographer, and they're never like a photographer that's like shooting class photos and proms or, you know, weddings. Never. They're always like op-ed.
Yes,
which is hilarious. But yeah, so that made me laugh. Yeah, so there's a difference between being brave and stupid. And then we have that you need to take a chance on something, and then she says, Kelly, it was her name, Lacey's character, that I can't do another long distance relationship. I'm like, that's the only problem that you see with this. Okay.
And she was like, I just don't want to have a holiday fling. I was like, oh, I'm not saying like, look, everyone's moral code can be different. It's also Hallmark, but like a holiday fling, you can dance and like maybe give them a quick peck, and it's not like you're putting your morals on the line. I don't think. Like, can we flirt a little? And can we just be okay with that?
Yeah. So then Faith Ashley's character goes up the hill alone, which was insane. It was crazy. And but they follow her out there, and they find the spot where Grandpa proposed. And then she says committing with Ben would be the most daring adventure of them all. So that's nice. And then we get to a year later, and Friedrich and Faith are together, and I think they're in New York. I think, and we have Ben and Friedrich and Kelly. Friedrich and Kelly are together, and then Faith and Ben are.
Although Faith did think Friedrich was really hot, so I can understand if you're like, well, maybe sister swap like her other movie.
Yes. So yeah, this one, I appreciate the idea behind it. Maybe with a couple more rewrites, but I just found both these women really insufferable. I didn't like them. I really didn't like the conflict. And so it did not work for me. I would give it like 2 crowns out of 5. What about you, Jax?
I'm giving this 3 out of 5. Actually, it just always makes me laugh so hard. But Rachel, like, I think these women need therapy, both of them, and family therapy, individual therapy. for a while, and then family therapy together because there's just a lot of things they have to work out.
I agree. Natalie, what about you? What would you give it?
I love the two actresses. I've seen Chesapeake Shores. Ashley Williams has grown on me over time. I loved her with Paul Campbell and other things, but for those writing problems that really should have been caught by the female director and the network in 2025, I think I might give it a 1.5 out of 5. I won't go all the way down to 1, but I can't even give it a 3 on my side.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Well, there we go. Let us know what you think of these two movies. We'll definitely be very curious for your thoughts in the comments section or on social media. Definitely let us know. And thank you to both of you for doing this. This was a lot of fun. This was a fun dynamic, I think, having the two of you on. And
let's
Jack,
do this again. Let's do this again.
We should. You know what I was thinking? Because Nikki and Palaha, they were on North Shore together, and that show had like 1 million Hallmark people. It had Brooke Burns, Corey Sevier,
Corey Sevier is like the hardest working man in show business. The man is in everything.
Well, and his wife writes most of his movies now, or a lot of them.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Kate Pragnell is his wife. So, Take Me Back for Christmas, she wrote it. His wife wrote it.
That's amazing. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So funny.
So they're a hardworking couple. But anyway, but yeah, that would be a fun show to recap.
That would be really fun. Mm-hmm. I'd love that.
So anyway, but Jax, how can people find you?
Jacqueline Collier on Instagram.
Great. And Natalie, what about you?
Easiest to link through to me at NNG Music, Nancy Gilbert Music at Instagram, or my link tree is there as well. Linktree/Natalie Nicole Gilbert.
Yeah. And I should also say that if you all are listening to the podcast and you hear one of our ads and you're like, wow, that sounds really good, much better than Rachel's reads the ads, it's because Natalie does it. She's so good.
Thank you, though. Yes. That's so fun to do. I love reading those romance novel ads. That's great.
Yes. Yeah. And,
oh my gosh, that's your voice. I knew it. Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So if you want to follow me, you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And you can follow Jax and I at On Stage Blog Theater Podcast. We do that a couple times a month. And it's a lot of fun talking Broadway over there. And you can find me at KSL Movie Show right now, at least for a little while, to every Friday. And it's so much fun. I would love if y'all check that out. And follow the Hallmarkies Podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That is the most simple, free way that you can help the podcast. If you like what we're doing, put those 5-star reviews on iTunes. It helps people find us. It just helps so much. So please. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We would love to get to 10K subscribers by the end of the year. And we have probably 85% of our viewers on YouTube are not subscribers. So if we could even get a small portion of those viewers to subscribe, it would help us so much. So please like and subscribe if you are watching on YouTube. And then we have our Patreon group, which both Jax and Natalie have been our guests for Q&As and for the Patreon events, which are so much fun. And any level of patron can get to participate in the patron events every month. And we have right now you can listen ad-free to both podcasts, Rachel's Reviews and Hallmarkies Podcast. You can listen to them as patron members. That's a new feature we just added. So if you don't like the ads, if you don't like Natalie's great voice reading the ads, then check out the Patreon. We'd sure appreciate that. And then we have our merch store where we have tons of holiday inspired designs. Hallmark, if you're looking for the Hallmarky in your life, you're looking for those Hallmark inspired designs, postables, parties, all of that fun stuff. Please check it out. We would sure appreciate it. And just like general movie fans, we've got awesome merch. So take a look at that. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.